sacred geometry of mandalas to the practical guidance of traffic signs, humanity has always navigated a world rich with symbolic meaning. To truly decode a symbol, we must first feel it. The mind then naturally unfolds its deeper meaning. And this is why artifacts matter. They are not merely relics of the past. They are living guardians of this universal language. Artifacts preserve symbols that have survived the rise and fall of entire civilizations. These symbols have not lost their power. We've just forgotten how to listen. They don't teach you something new. They remind you of something ancient, something intrinsically known. When you begin to feel rather than interpret, the world around you shifts. Reality reveals itself as a pattern, meaningful and vibrantly alive. A living language written not for the mind alone, but for the soul. The universe truly does speak to us in the language of symbols and signs. They go directly into the unconscious mind, awakening what lies dormant within. We don't need to invent new knowledge. We need only to remember. To reconnect with this primordial wisdom that resides in the collective human experience. These symbols were never meant to be secrets locked away from us. They were meant to be beacons, guides, pathways to remembrance. They were meant to bring you home. Home to a deeper understanding of yourself, your place in the cosmos, and an interconnected tapestry of all existence. Tonight, as we gather, we invite you to open your senses, feel the resonance, and listen to the ancient whispers carried by these incredible artifacts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the One Podcast. I'm excited about this guest today, and although I do podcasts, I'm going to encourage you to also go watch the YouTube, because this is not just meant for audio. I want you to hear it, but I also don't think you'll understand the full power of what she's talking about unless you can actually see what she's about to tell you. I was introduced to her through a friend of mine, and I was so absolutely mesmerized and entranced into what she was saying that I was like, we need to do this as soon as possible. People need to hear about this. And there are very specific people we are hoping to connect with that they are passionate about, they feel is a part of their mission, they want to participate in something that really truly calls to them. I'm going to let her tell you the story. This is Gold Porter, and she has developed a nonprofit, Artifact Guardians. But I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about her history first. So tell us about your background, and then let's jump into the story of how we got to where we are today.
Well, thanks for having me, Lisa. Where to begin? I'll just give a little background to me, because I think I've lived, well, as a lot of people have, sometimes unorthodox lives. I grew up between Pacific Northwest, Colorado, Oregon, super hippie family. Obviously, my name's Gold. I won't tell you my brother's name. It's like, he goes out there. So
I love it.
When people are like, where'd you get your name? I was like, my parents smoked a lot of weed. It's the only explanation I have. So I think from kind of the beginning of time, I've always kind of looked at our world and been like, this doesn't really make sense. The wars, the way people act, the way people treat each other. It was always just something that didn't make sense to me. And I hated school. Couldn't stand education. It just seemed like such a waste of time, killing my soul every day. So I ended up graduating high school a year early, and I joined the Marine Corps, which, for anybody that knows me, none of these things make sense, because I'm not someone that really follows the rules. I don't do well with people telling me what to do, but I like to put myself in challenging situations. So I'm like, let's go do the opposite of that. Realized very early on that was really stupid. But again, I was like, I like a challenge, and the Marine Corps is the hardest. So I'm going to go do the hardest. And I got out of the Corps and I started in finance. So I did mutual funds, investments, insurance for about 12 years. And really what I learned from that was sales. Like, I'm selling myself. If you're going to go over, give your life's fortune to me to invest, you're investing me as a person. I am, a level of integrity and truth and how I act. And so I think a big portion of my life has always been to try to be in high integrity, do what I say what I do, always act like how I talk,
Mhm.
and I've been finding tuning that for years and years. And after I got, finance again didn't really fill my soul. I always admire people that their children, they're like, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor, and they go and have purpose in life, and they like go feel their path. And I never knew what my path was. I was great with people. I was great at networking. I'm great at bringing people in and making introductions. And, I have plenty of marriages under my belt, business relationships, because I authentically love connecting people and having their
Mm.
lives be impacted and move forward in beautiful ways. Like I get off on that. I get off of being in service, charity work. I think being in service is the highest calling, and I love it. And so I ended up starting a search firm that specializes in very ultra high net worth families, athletes, celebrities, people that can afford personal staffs, your nannies, your yacht captain, your pilot for your private jet, your housekeepers, you name it. So, I've worked with some of the most affluent families and individuals across the world over the last 15 years. So I have a keen understanding of what their lives look like and what they're missing and what they want. And I've also taken a deep spiritual path internally on my own. Like I've never been part of a spiritual community. I don't go to any of the conferences. I have really empowered people in my life that have amazing abilities, can see, hear, touch, all kinds of things. And so I was always fascinated with that world of psychics and clairvoyance and time travel. And, I have friends that could do all of it. And so during COVID, as the world shut down, I end up, I started looking around the very first 2 weeks of COVID and being like, what the fuck is going on? Do you guys not see this is all a scam? Like, really? Are you guys falling for this? So, and at the same time, I got married to my husband. We've been together 5+ years, and he's a very intelligent person, very knowledgeable on pretty much everything I could ever ask. And so I started doing deep dives into ancient civilizations, theology, philosophy, every rabbit hole, every conspiracy theory. I'm batting 1,000. I have a PhD in conspiracy theories now. So really trying to uncover the world we live in. And the world we live in is completely inverted. And the world that we see is completely fictitious. It's on a stage, and learning about the satanic side of it and who's really running the world and yada yada could go on forever. So I became a real truth seeker, real truth seeker. I was willing to uncover any dirty, ugly secret that most people couldn't even look at because I wanted to know the nature of my reality.
Mm.
And in May of this last year, we're in 26 now, so backtrack to 25. I was at a beautiful 3-day retreat, or it's called Confluence. It's ran by a guy named Alex Zek from the Way Forward podcast. Incredible podcast. I recommend it to everyone. Beautiful network and community that he's put together of, again, truth seekers, people that are looking for sovereignty, looking to grow food, science. It could, Diane Powell from the telepathy tapes, just incredible human beings that you can sit and listen to them talk for 2 hours. You can go to breath work, glamping, families were there, really beautiful outside of San Antonio, Texas. And I stumbled across this tent that somebody was saying, oh, there's crystals in there. And weirdly enough, my husband wanted to go, which I'm pretty sure he's sick of me going into in crystal shops. He's like, I'm one more, but he wanted to go, funny enough. And I will tell you, from the minute I walked in that door, I knew my life had changed. The first thing I saw was an obelisk, which I actually have here. And, I've been to Egypt. I know what obelisks look like. I know what the hieroglyphs look like. I know the symbology. And this one was different. This one had multidimensional extraterrestrials all over it. Plus, some of the symbolism we knew. And then you lift it up and there's the Eye of Ra, and it looks like the planet Jupiter. And it has, I mean, just everything. And so I just kept walking around this room, and everything's are like magic boxes that you lift up, and they have these little pyrite eggs or skulls. I mean, it was just unbelievable because you're seeing Aztec, Mayan, Sumerian, Egyptian, all mixed, and then also with these extraterrestrials. So it just was like, what the hell is going on here? And I started asking a lot of questions, and I learned that these are being uncovered in Mexico, outside of Mexico City. And, for the last 10 years, there's been quite a bit of excavation, but in the last 3 years, really prolifically just coming out of the ground, hundreds of pieces. And the collectors shared a lot about their story and what they were doing. And I knew immediately I needed to help them build a foundation. Like these artifacts need to be protected. They need to be recognized for the energetic components they have and what they can do to the human body. I became a collector immediately. I basically said, I'm going to need that obelisk. Are you guys willing to sell it? Which at first they weren't. And I was like, I'm actually not going to leave until we figure this out. That turned into quite a few pieces. I ended up with 4 pieces, my first thing, and they were definitely meant for me. And my life started shifting immediately. The synchronicities that came in, the people that came into the ether, like that were just collecting, myself feeling things that I needed to address in my own life, whether it's old patterns, shadows, old stories that are coming up, better ways to handle things. Everything just started flowing in. It was so magical. I mean, made it very difficult to be in the 3D world for a couple of weeks because I was like, I can't have normal conversations because everything was just letting in downloads, information. And so that journey started in May. And in August, we went on our first archaeological dig because as much as I know it and believe it, until you actually go into the dirt yourself, you can't really, because it's Mexico. People have a lot of questions. Are these authentic? Is this real? Is this all made up? Is it a hoax? And by the way, there are replicas. There are people doing that have now made a business of it. So all of those things are true, but doesn't take away from the authenticity of many of them and quite a few of them. There's pieces that have been dated, carbon dated 30, 40,000 years old. There's been lots of energetic testing, like really what these things are giving off. But for me, it's the personal human experience to really be able to speak from. We can talk about carbon dating. We can talk about it has this metal. This isn't from this planet. We can talk about the really cool science stuff that men love and some women love. But for me, it's what's it matter? If it's just going to sit on your wall, it's just a piece of art like anything else. But these are conscious beings. They are communicating with us. It's a co-creation. I'm communicating with these artifacts that we believe are absolutely ascension tools because they're helping us elevate our consciousness to a better galactic understanding. And I think if anybody pays attention, I'm not in the UFO space. I'm not in the ET world. There's a lot of people that are really deep in that. That's way outside my realm. But if you look at the amount of disclosure that's happening within our government, I know people that work for the military and find spaceships, like it's there, it's coming out all at the same time. The veil is lifted where we are actually getting to see, and where I think this is so impactful is that a lot of things we talk about in spirituality and things like that in the ether, it's like Jesus, all these things are like, oh, well, there's a book, but it's just out in space. We actually now have it in form. We have matter that has come together, giving us symbols, information, codes that we can touch. And that to me is momentous. And that's where I think the adventure really starts because we can actually go dig for these ascension tools.
It's so mind-blowing to me. Let's have you show one of the pieces that you have right there. You can talk about one in specific, and I'll make sure that we include a picture of this. And then
I can send you some pictures.
And can you kind of describe it for those that are listening, and then talk about what those specific properties are or why this one is significant to you? And then we'll go more in depth with some of the questions and things that I have. For those that are brand new to this world, some listeners will never have heard any of this before. Right. But I really want you to be open. I know nothing about this. We talked on the phone last week and she walked me around her house to show me some of these. I could feel through the phone. Feel through the images I was seeing on the phone. I could feel energy. And I left for 5 or 6 days in between us talking, and I was so mesmerized. I had to go look at all these pictures of the artifacts. I was showing them to people all weekend, and I was dumbfounded at how these are carved, the materials that they're made of. Like, if you're new to this, be open because there is magic here. Okay, go ahead.
No, thank you. And I love that you had that experience. I can't tell you how many times I show images and, I've had people fall to the ground crying because all of a sudden they remember their life in Atlantis, being underwater in a cave. I've had people that have had prolific dreams where actually artifacts came to them in their dreams. And then I later showed an image and they're like, that was in my dream. Yeah. So, magic happens with these things, like pure magic. We are looking at alchemy right here. So I have 5 Jaguar skulls. They're like my babies. I always say I'm like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. These are
Mhm.
my dragons. So I first got an image through one of the collectors. There's collectors all over the world,
Okay.
and they work with these diggers that are like going to the land, taking stuff out. They go to their collectors who wants it. Nothing's sacred in this, nothing's being protected. So that's part of why this needs to happen, is like not just people excavating land and not taking the care that it needs. So
Mhm.
these particular pieces were found in a cave, again in Mexico, and there is a history to what's called the Jaguar. The Jaguar in the mouth of what looks like maybe an ET. This is amethyst and another stone, and it's just, it might be hard to see, but there's symbolism,
Mhm.
everything etched. So I actually have like on this side, it's kind of maybe like a lyran with like an octopus bottom. There's symbolism, and you have the skull. So you have like the skull, and then you have the jaguar, and then you have the ET. There's a lot of mythology around these pieces in around Tula, Hidalgo, which is where there's a temple, and the Toltecs. And so I have many of these skulls. I have 5 total. They're incredible. This one is called Justice. They all have different names. I have one that's respect. I have one that's truth. I have one called the Mother. And you can actually feel that type of resonance with them and that energy working with them. So a lot of times through meditation, through medicine journeys, things like that, we're working with the artifacts to see what comes up, what shifts in our field, working with them.
So, how was this one named?
They could just come. I'll tell you a funny story. We were sitting here one evening with my blue one. It's well, we thought it was blue lapis. We were told it was a blue lapis. And we're sitting there, and I was kind of like psychically, some people are very telepathic, like they
Mhm.
can really communicate with these artifacts. I'm more of a gnosis person. I don't really have those skills, but I happened to that night really be working with them. And I was like, we have to come up with a name. And I was telling one of my team members, Vanessa, my husband, like, just come up with something. Just say something. She's like, Jasper. And I'm like, Jasper? I am not calling this Jasper. And she said, I just am getting Jasper so strongly. What? Is there a blue Jasper stone? And we looked it up, and the stone was actually, once we saw, oh, this is a blue Jasper, it's not blue lapis. So it
Mhm.
was telling us what stone it actually was, because
That's
Jasper came out of
crazy.
nowhere. And so I kind of sit with the energy of it. And, like I have a beautiful crystal quartz piece, that beautiful artifact, and it's called Balthazar. I have no idea where Balthazar came from. I could not tell you, but if you look up the origin of Balthazar, it actually makes sense. So some of these just come. You really build like a bonding, whether it's like a sister relationship, a son relationship, a daughter, like you feel these feelings towards these artifacts, and it's hard to explain, but it just happens.
Well, what I could not wrap my mind around the for days after that is for those of you who can't see it yet, these are large pieces. That's what, a foot and a half in front of you, like
Yeah,
long.
I think it's like 14 by, and I'll give you a little walking tour just to.
Yeah. She has a number of them, and they're not small.
So this is the Guardian, gold plated. We believe it's 14 karat with jade. I mean, all of my pieces probably weigh 30, 45 pounds. We don't know where these symbols are different than we've seen before. They all have very unique things on them. Some look reptilian. This is the obelisk. This was the beginning of it all.
Hmm.
And you can see the multidimensional beings. You can see, I don't know how well you can see the elongated heads. And you can see kind of typical Eye of Ra, but then you have like a DNA strand. So a lot of DNA strands. More of the guardian pieces. And then my little gargoyles, as I call them. This one's incredible. It's hard to see the intricate nature of it. Every side has something, boxes, you lift it up, the box has another piece in it. They're multidimensional even in the artifacts, they're showing you symbolism. I mean, if you think about it, you have the stone itself, which obviously we know, crystals hold so much energy and memory. And then you have the symbolism, which reacts to the subconscious. And then we have whatever the carvings are itself. So it's like there's layer upon layer with the with the Jaguars, if I put them in a bath with me, which I often do, I can feel an energy field about 6 inches off of it. So if I put my hand on the water, my hand would normally go to the bottom of the water.
Mm-hmm.
If I put it over the artifact, it will elevate about 6 inches and it'll just hold there because the energy is so strong.
What blew my mind is the different materials and then all of the intricate details of the carvings. And where did the people who created these come up with these images? And then how did they carve the stones? I mean, we're talking so many years ago. And I was just flabbergasted that there are so many alien faces and different types of figures and bodies. And I was thinking, if you didn't believe in it before, you have to believe in it now. It's not like they could have saw these images on TV. It's not like they could have heard about them from their aunt who read about it in a book. I could not stop thinking about it. And for those that are already in this world, to see pieces like this, that, like you're saying, are made of so many different materials, there's carvings that we can't even begin to translate. We don't know what the languages are. And then to see so many different elements combined in one piece is incredible. And I love that you have the ability to sit here and say, with every different piece, there's a different energy field that comes off it, that there's different experiences you have. And for some people, this is going to sound so crazy that you get near a piece of material, stone, whatever it is, and that you feel things and that you receive information, but that's the truth. And when you really think about it, these things came from the earth, and it really expands what we try not to see and believe. And I'm so mesmerized by how this came to be. And then, so tell a little bit about what your goal is with Artifact Guardians.
Yeah. So I set up a foundation called Church of Truth. It's a 508c, so it's a spiritual ministry because I believe these are telling us the truth, right? And so there's a lot of people that have disappeared. I mean, these artifacts have been coming out of the ground for at least 10 years, probably sooner, but not as much. And people have disappeared from it. Every foundation, every scientific endeavor that people have tried to explore have been shut down. The doors always closed because this breaks up everything. This breaks up everything we've been told, breaks up religion. Remember, Christianity is 6,000 years old. So there is a big push for this never to come to light. And that's why the artifacts can leave Mexico currently, because they're not considered to be artifacts. They're just relics. They're just art. And that's why we're in a little bit of a timing gray area, because I do believe the amount of artifacts that are coming out at some point, it's like, okay, these are real. Well, that's when the government gets involved. That's when it would be illegal to let them leave Mexico. And we have a whole nother issue. And so we are kind of in a matter of time of really trying to lock in the relationships to make sure we're protecting these artifacts, getting them into safe locations, doing the archaeological digs in a real way to see the information. When artifacts are placed, they have information where they're pointing, what they're doing, what they're saying. All of that information is being lost. Church of Truth is really an expedition to find truth, and to ask all the questions. Science is very captured by the universities, by the powers that be. You're not allowed to ask these questions. When we get stuff tested, we'll get it tested and it's like, oh, wait, we've never seen this before. And then the door closed. They'll never test anything again. They're not letting things through. So we've taken upon ourselves that we're working with independent scientists. We need to do everything on our own. Locking down the land in Mexico, building alliances with families that we trust, that are sacred and in integrity. There's a lot of things in Mexico that are happening with collectors and diggers that it's just not integrity to the artifacts and to the meaning of the sacredness of what they represent. So helping keep them safe, and then educating people to the powers, because these can also be very dangerous, because if you don't understand what's coming into your field, like for me, I'm always on an ascension path. I'm like, give it to me hard, give it to me rough. I will take it and I will work with it. For some people, this becomes unbelievably uncomfortable. You're going to have people come in your life that you need to clear out. You might have some shadow things that you haven't not been addressing. You might not be in discernment. I learned a lot of discernment through these artifacts. And so educating the human to understanding that this vessel, this meat suit that we're wearing actually has to have the energy to be able to hold this energy. I have, and we'll get into the events I'm going to be doing, but I'm going to have 70 plus artifacts in my home. this will register almost like a sacred site, the energy components. So walking into this home will activate you. And that's great if you want to be activated, but it's not good if things are a little, maybe your marriage is a little rocky, maybe there's some stuff going on in business. Guess what? You're going to get blasted. So it's interesting. Like some people look at them, they're like, oh, that's cool. And walk out. I'm like, okay, not in your Dharma. Like, for us, this is about an invitation for anyone if they feel a calling, if they want to know more, if they are on a path of truth, then that's your calling. And we want to open this door for you because most people never get access to these. I mean, you really got to understand where to go to even get access to these, know if they're authentic. I mean, it's the Wild West out there. I will just tell you, it is the Wild West. So being able to have an opportunity to open this door for people and accept an invitation to learn more, to grow more, to see more, I think it's beautiful. And I think it's very much needed in humanity right now because many of us are on a truth seeking mission for our own conscious level of figuring out where we can elevate ourselves. And these are just tools like anything else. People use all kinds of technology and tools now to help their biofields or in their health. It could be anything from a supplement to this. These are no different, but just know that there's a level of consciousness that comes with them.
Well, these are different because supplements, yes, even as natural as they can be, they're created now. These things were created thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. There is a mystery to them. There's something that we as humans couldn't touch and couldn't replicate. We can fake it, like you're saying. There's knockoffs right now. There's people trying to create these things. This is something that was made 30 to 40,000 years ago, and there's properties in there. And if you actually let yourself connect with it, it's beyond our ability to mentally create ourselves. And I think it's so fascinating. So with Church of Truth and Artifact Guardians, can you become a member, or how do people interact with each of these? And talk about a little bit about your vision of the different ways of being able to educate yourself, the excavations, like you're wanting families that are truly involved that could maybe host these or be involved. Talk about the different ways that you want to see this grow.
Well, I'll map out our next 6 months, what we're looking.
Your vision.
So we're going to Mexico at the beginning of February. We're meeting with a family that I've done my first dig with them already. And the gentleman's a shaman. He really does things ethically. Like we want to align with people that are really in high integrity to the land, to the artifacts, and to where the artifacts go. Because it's low income in Mexico. You can sell these artifacts for a lot of money. So it's become a business. And so we want to bring it back to the sacredness of it. And so we're aligning with this family. It would only be working with artifact guardians. They would only be selling pieces or working with us. We would be in charge of the excavation and really studying that. And then we have some scientists we've aligned with, and they have a 4-point protocol where we can actually authenticate the artifacts, which has never been done before. There's no way, when you're dealing with these diggers in Mexico, you don't know if you're going to get an authentic piece when it lands at your door. You don't know. It gets damaged. Border Patrol sometimes breaks these up, demolishes them. Customs, and it makes you want to cry. There's just so much lost information. So locking in that relationship, we're working with like Jaime Musan, who's actually studying the Bugosphere, which is a whole nother alien conversation. So really aligning with people of high integrity in Mexico, locking down the land and putting together a process of study and authentication. So that's what's happening on the Mexico side. And then, hopefully also finding a benefactor where we could start a small sanctuary and be able to hold some of the pieces that are harder. I mean, some of these pieces are massive, thousands of pounds, pretty hard to get out of Mexico. And I believe in us building Mexico up, right? Building up their history. This is coming out from their land. They should be recognized for that. It's beautiful. The people of Mexico are beautiful. I love Mexico. I have a huge heart for the service that they provide and everything they do. So finding a way to also help the locals and have them get paid regularly, something they can bring home for their family, be recognized for the work they're putting in to bring these artifacts out and taking care of them. So we're working on that. On the US side, we're working with Matching with Guardians, where people can come and say, I really feel pulled to be a guardian. What a guardian means is that you understand that you are not the owner. You are simply a guardian of these artifacts, meaning if these artifacts need to get to a ley line. Some of my artifacts are in Egypt right now with a Hopi Indian because she wanted to go there. And, anytime you're bringing these energies in, it's benefiting the ley lines and the grid work. And so I constantly will loan mine out to people because I know that's the bigger work, and that's what their missions are. I want them to travel and see the world. And so knowing as a guardian how to properly take care of them, and they need to be fed. They need to be like you, literally their conscious being. And again, this is not easy for the human mind to understand. So the education of how to treat them, how to care for them, how to pack them, unpack them, and then potentially them needed in another place on the planet, which means you're either bringing them or you're going to lease it out where you get paid for it to go on a mission. I sent another artifact to Egypt with another group. They did a huge pilgrimage there and they brought it into the Great Pyramid. They brought it to some of the biggest temples. The artifact literally lit up in the esophagus. I mean, so crazy stuff. So a guardian is understanding your physical body, how you need to have your own level of consciousness, how to protect and take care of it, and how to be part of the bigger nucleus, which is this network where we want to have artifact guardians across the world protecting these artifacts and holding them for us.
I love this so much. So, talk about how people can reach out to you if they feel called to be doing this with you.
Yeah, so artifactguardians.org and Fund the Discovery is another. Once we lock down this in Mexico, we will be doing pilgrimages to Mexico where people could donate. And part of that adventure is to go actually do an archaeological dig yourself, which is pretty freaking wild, right? Trust me, when I was there doing it, I was like, this was not on my bingo card. Like,
It's crazy.
I'm pulling out a 5 foot, 300 pound obelisk in Mexico. I mean, it's just wild, right?
Mhm.
So what I envision is these tech bros that have made an exit and they're looking for purpose and adventure. I'm like, get on a plane, let's go on an adventure, and hopefully that adventure activates a level of consciousness where you want to learn more, you want to do more. So that's one of the ways that people can get involved. Looking to be a guardian, we have a vetting process. We'll have modules that you would become certificated in it in order to be able to hold the artifact. And then we have additional education that we're rolling out where we've been working with ambassadors like the Hopi Indians and the Toltec shamans, where they have their own education where people can really expand their consciousness. One of the gentlemen we work with, Teo, here's in LA, I mean, he works with some of the most elite minds in the world that are really looking to up level their game, their consciousness, the moves they're making. They're huge decision makers in Fortune 500 companies. So making them more conscious human beings to make the right choices for consciousness, humanity, it's important. So we really see it like a spokes in a hub. Like we're the hubcap, and then all these little spokes go to different ways to educate yourself, expand yourself, events. But it's building a community within ourselves of we're aligning to integrity and truth at all expense. I say that over and over and over again because there's so much inauthenticity in the spiritual world. There's so much spiritual ego. There's so many people that talk a big talk but don't actually walk it. So everyone on my team, it's like we're constantly cleaning house. We're constantly in community, talking about the uncomfortable things, not putting things under the rug, saying what is and telling the truth. And so we do it foundationally from the foundation itself to everything that we do.
I loved that. I was writing it down, aligning to truth and integrity at all expense or at any expense.
All in any, like, I've had to do some very difficult things that have been uncomfortable within relationship for me, where I sit as mission first. And I tell people I'm unemotional in this because I will put the mission above myself, above my marriage, above anything. Like that is a priority. This is what I've given to them. And that's why I think my date with destiny was there. I think when I walked into that tent and it became my mission, I've actually done a channeling with the Toltec shaman and he communicated with the mass consciousness of the artifacts. And they're like, she's incorruptible. And that's what they needed. They needed incorruptible, where money, fame, all the things that these pull you into, because I've seen it. I've seen people that I'm no longer in alliance with because I saw the greed, I saw the money interest, I saw the vanity, all of that bleed in. And the minute that happened, I cut all ties. I'm like, that's not an integrity. I'm out. So I've gone through different partnerships. I've gone through different arrangements with people because the minute they slipped, I was like, I am a bleeding heart. I always give people second, third chances. I'm getting way stricter with that. That's the discernment they've taught me because it's for them, not for me. And so I literally have like such a 0 point policy on things.
Yeah, an absolute standard. Well, and I think right there was such an important message. If you happen to be listening to this and this does not resonate with you, if you're not into artifacts, if you don't understand the energy, if you're not connecting to it, the message that you just stated, I think is applicable in any industry, with any mission, with any heart-centered calling, anything that a listener or a viewer is trying to create, that when you are called to something and you feel that that is your mission, your connection, your responsibility, I like to say, how you said, being incorruptible. That hit me really hard. I loved that. Being incorruptible in your standards, making sure that you don't let yourself interact with people that don't understand your mission, that you don't let your standards slip for money, let your standards slip so that you don't have to be as dedicated and devoted to what you're creating. That really was such a powerful, just be incorruptible. It makes perfect sense how you knew the minute you walked in there, this is, my life is changing today. I am responsible for this. I am going to be the one who carries this forward. I am the one who's honoring this in the way that these should be honored. And then I'm going to draw in and connect with other people that understand it. And the ones that don't, we'll let them fall away. And in doing so, you're always fine tuning, being truly connected to the right ones. It is, I mean, it's shocking to me that we just barely connected a week ago, but I love how that always happens. And all I want to do is tell everyone about you. I know that for some it will fall on deaf ears, but I know for others, and it only takes one. It only takes one or two or
It's like
three.
a breath. I say, like, every time I have another interaction, it's a breath out and then it's refinement back in because, sometimes, oh my God, this person's amazing. They're, and then all of a sudden you see cracks in the exterior and you're like, okay, not what I thought it was. And that's fine. It's learning. Everything is information. So,
Yes.
and this isn't for everybody. I mean, this has caused issues even within my family dynamics with family members. Like, this is an uncomfortable thing for some people. The galactics, for me, this is my personal opinion, there's the world of spirituality. I believe this galactic understanding sits even on top of that. So this is really a stretch for a lot of people. That when you go into this kind of galactic understanding and world, and the conversations I have are so, I mean, I have conversations now and I'm like, nobody would believe me. I mean, this is the most insane crap I've ever heard in my um, but it's normal now. Like even my husband was sitting here the other day and I was like, people would think we're crazy. And he's like, oh yeah, your guys' conversations are crazy. And for us, they're completely normal. So I've been renormalized in a completely different way. And most of my friends, I don't even really think they know even what I'm doing because I kind of keep it to myself. So yeah, it's not for everybody. And I don't want anybody, I want to be clear. I don't want anybody to feel, I have a girlfriend that she was there the first time we saw it and she's like, what's wrong with me? Am I dead inside? I'm like, no, no, no. I don't want anybody to think anything's wrong with you. I think these call to certain people for certain reasons. And if they don't, nothing's wrong with you. It just doesn't call to you. And there are people that are far more of this earth and not, of the galactic. So it's not a calling for you in this time. Maybe in another lifetime it will be. I don't know. But this is just for people to have a level of openness. And if they want to learn more, we'll teach them.
Yes.
And if they want to be involved more, we'll do that. I've allowed this to let just whoever comes in. And the beautiful thing is I've constructed this incredible team of people that have just flooded in, being, I'm in heart center. I'm activated by this. I will put in sweat equity until we find our benefactor. I will give 100%. I'm doing this with a team. It's certainly not only me. I'm so grateful for the people that are helping with the social media and helping with the contracts and helping with events, and everybody's doing it from a place of purity. And it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful to see.
I think that's so important. If you aren't feeling anything, it's okay because you're meant for something different and you might come around. Neither one of us 5-10 years ago would have thought we would be having this conversation. I wouldn't even thought 2 weeks ago that I would have been so absolutely connected and fascinated by and intrigued, and you could not have told me even a year ago I would have enjoyed this conversation. I would have been like, it's way out there. That's perfect for you, not for me. But something about it was so powerful into me knowing, okay, I think there are people I'm connected to that I need to share this. And it's just one more pathway to get that message to the right person who's been looking for it or hasn't been looking for it, and then they know and they're connected. If we were all interested, it wouldn't be as intriguing and as special. We're meant to all have different connections at different points in our lives. We're meant to be the guardians of certain things. We're meant to be the voice for other things. Those are our passions. This is her calling. She is the one who is connecting and building teams and spreading this across the world and honoring what has been put in her path. And I just think if it is something that's resonating with you at all, if there's something inside, like she's saying, in your heart, in your integrity, saying, I'm meant to be a part of this, I'm fascinated by this, I feel called to it, then definitely reach out to her, because there are different levels of interest and ways that you can contribute and be a part of it and help this to contain and expand the sacredness of it, to be a guardian or to be a participant in some level.
Yep. And that's it. It's an open invitation. See what comes, a level of interest. We'll start having newsletters. We're rolling out quite a bit of information on social media. And again, I've only constructed this foundation since August. You have no idea the speed in which this has gone. It's like the church is set up. We're doing events. We're going to be featured at CLE, which is the Conscious Life Expo. I believe that's the February 21st to the 23rd in Los Angeles. There's about 11,000 guests. It's my first one. We will never do another convention again. For me, I signed up for it. I'm going to honor that. And I do believe it'll be a nice launch to tell people who we are, but I'm bringing everything back into the private after that. And these artifacts, I'm so protective of them. And most collectors are. You don't want judging eyes, people that don't understand it, people that are a little limited in their belief. I don't want them staring and looking at them and touching them. That doesn't feel sacred to me. I'm going to be bringing my guardian or my artifacts, my Jaguars. So we are speaking on the stage 8 p.m. on Friday. It's myself and our spokeswoman, Isha, who's, she's worked with Nassim Harrington. She's done incredible work with quantum physics, the understanding of how these interact. So I'll be speaking a little bit about the foundation. She'll speak, and then we're going to do a light language activation with the Jaguars. And then we have a private room, the Hall of Healing, where people could come and talk to us some more, learn a little bit more. But after that, we'll never be in a public formation again. It will always be private art exhibits, private events, sound healing, meditation groups, things like that, where people can actually come and experience the artifacts firsthand. We're building out clinical psychology questionnaires that we're trying to track information of how it's working with people's biofield. So for a lot of us, a lot of this is experimenting as well. Mm-hmm. Let's start doing these events. Let's start working with people. Let's start the meditations. Let's start these group adventures, really. I don't know what's going to come with it. I really don't. I don't know if, people are going to have huge benefits, if they're really going to expand, if it's going to cause a little bit more chaos. It really is the mindset of what you go into as well. So just going through all these different activations, we want to get the information from it.
I'm so excited about it. Okay, so talk about the best places people can find you on social media right now. So Instagram, Facebook, website.
Instagram, TikTok, I believe. Sorry, I don't do social media. And X, we have X on, and then the website again. And then we're going to start pumping out a lot of educational content, because a lot of this is about education. And so just educating people about symbolisms, about kind of the histories of using artifacts. The artifacts have been used as ascension tools for shamans and the spiritual community forever, but I don't think most people practices as much. It's not such a practice. So educating people, understanding really how to interact with them, talking about what we have decoded, some of the science. Some of these artifacts are made what's called with a geopalmer, which is almost like a ceramic that you can bake. Also how our lovely pyramids got built. So, and we also have pieces that are coming out of the ground that light by themselves, free energy, that have been carbon dated 40,000 years old and literally have a copper top and they light up. So we're seeing incredible things come out of the ground. And I believe the deeper we go, the more technology we're going to uncover. Some have magnets. They're out of this world. I'll just leave it at that. They're absolutely out of this world. So the science behind it, the energy components about it, like what's happening to the biofield, like all of those things we're working on testing and bringing it to the public.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I'm so excited to watch and be more educated and participate in it and see it really come to life. And I'm just honored to have met you, honored to have you on here. And I'm excited to see how this grows and expands in the right ways with the right people. I will make sure that we have all the links. There is a video on her website if you want to learn more, and you can go to the website and you can actually see more pictures of the artifacts. There are some amazing ones on there that I had to share with everyone this weekend. And there is one or two that you can see some of the glowing. There is a metal looking one that I could not stop staring at. I was just so fascinated by the carvings, the actual designs. It's mind blowing what these look like. And I haven't even been near one, but
And imagine in person, right? Because like,
right.
I've had friends that were like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they sat, literally dropped to their knees. They're like, oh, I get it. Okay, wait, I understand now. It is one of those, and that's why we really ultimately, I'll give you a bigger vision, is that as we build these sanctuaries where we can say keep them, we could then do pop-up museums where if we had a level of interest in a certain city, let's say Ohio, all of a sudden, like we have a bunch of pings in Ohio, we can go set up a pop-up museum for people to come and experience the artifacts. When they came out of the ground, the messages that all the locals were getting is this is for the people. This is for the people. This is not to be sitting in museums. It's not to be sitting in somebody's house collecting dust. It's to experience. It's for the people. So we're working to find the best way to do that in the most conscious, intelligent way to make sure we're safeguarding both the artifacts and the people that would be interacting with them. And it's a big exercise because these artifacts are all over the world. They've been strewn out from multiple collectors all over the planet, finding a way to align us, building insurance to make sure they're covered. I mean, it's a huge project.
And it's so sacred. I think that's the one point that I really just got in what you were just saying too. There's a completely different experience to look at it. And most of us have not been in the presence of one. And so for us, there's no way I can even comprehend what that's like. I can look at these pictures, I could see them online, but until you are in the presence of something like that, you don't fully experience it. And we can't predict what it's going to be for us. And like you were saying, some have one experience that's not as full bodied. And then for others, it's, I don't even know what just hit me. But if they're saying, as they're pulling these out of the ground, we know this is for the people, it is for the right people. And I just think if you're feeling called, stay in her world, get connected with her, reach out to her. If you know that you are interested in being a benefactor, if you see yourself as part of this future vision, even if you just want to be educated, and if at some point you want to be able to see these, if you're interested in being maybe a pop-up museum somewhere, being involved with that, let her know, because all we're doing is contributing in any way to how we can be a part of this team and help this to grow, be a part of the full vision as it unfolds over time. Is there anything else you feel called to share that people
It's a
should know?
co-creation. Like I always say, it's a co-creation between the artifacts, even the foundation. People can bring ideas to the table. This is a co-creation. So this is not, I'm learning every day. My mission kind of shifts. I have a core mission. I'm constantly in flow with this thing. And I've told my team, I've told everybody, I'm be in flow because nothing's static here at all. And the artifacts they bring people in, they get rid of people. I mean, they're doing their work all the time. Trust me.
And we're just playing along with
They're
it.
stirring it up. They're like,
Yes. Here we go. You have no idea what's coming next, but we do. We've been around for a while. So we're going to draw in some more that you're not expecting, and that one's out. Here comes some new ones.
Oh yeah. I've been under a school for the last 6 months, like deep, deep, deep work, deep school.
Well, and it is, and I do want to add this for listeners too. She just went to her first experience where she connected to this in May. In May, she went through the door that was going to change her life. And then she developed this in August. That's how quickly a life can change and get into very clear focus and purpose. And this is hers. This is her mission. This whole podcast is about hearing the stories of people that have connected to their mission and that are aligning their life with it and are very clear. This is what I'm supposed to do. I am the one called to this right now, and I am calling in and connecting with the other ones who feel this aligns with what they're doing. It's about collaboration, and it's an honor to have this I've never had a story like this on the podcast. And I'm so grateful for you for hearing that call and for stepping up and taking on in full purpose at total magnitude. Let's go with this. And being so willing to flow, being so open, and yet holding a standard of, I know the level of care, the interaction that needs to be. And I'm going to hold that for what I feel and what I see and what I want to honor. I love this.
Well, I commend you and even the title of your podcast, because for me, I'm all about the law of one, unity consciousness, and everything is one, right? We are one. I mean, even these artifacts we're one with. And so getting back to that understanding, let's collaborate, let's do this together. We don't need to be on opposite sides of any fence. There doesn't need to be a right or left, a wrong or left. We need to just come together and remember who we are. And everything we do with the artifacts is, even all over the website, you're going to see remembrance, remembering. This is remembering our past lives, where we came from, who we are. Because the minute we remember who we are, we realize we don't need anybody else telling us how to live our lives. We can do it ourselves. And that, for me, is the sovereignty is something that goes all through my astral, human design, gene keys, you name it. It's like freedom, freedom, freedom. And so, I'm looking for my own freedom. I'm looking for their freedom, and to be unchained, to be able to go create. We're creators, every single one of us.
Yep. Creators and collaborators. And I think it's so beautiful. You recognize you're the one and you stand in that, and then you match with and you walk with one of the greats. As my friend Melanie says, my mentor, she always talks about being one of the greats. We don't have to be the best. You rise into your own greatness and you walk with each other. You do this together and you share, you collaborate, you bring what your gifts are to each other. I'm so excited about what's ahead. My favorite thing to ask at the end of these podcasts is, considering the woman you are today, what you're living, what you're experiencing, and what you feel for the future, how would you end the sentence? I am the one who.
I am the one who will change paradigms.
Yes, you will. Yeah. You already are. You're living it right this minute. I can't even imagine what this is going to become a year from now, 6 months. At the speed at which it's already expanding, it blows my mind.
I'm having a hard time keeping up. That's the only thing. I was like, I'll sleep one day, and I get mentored a lot from Willow, who is one of the clergy members. He's one of the founders of Dom and Her. If anybody is not familiar with Dom and Her, they should really look into a spiritual community that was established in the 80s, 70s in Italy. And, he talks often about dates with destiny, all these different things. He keeps me in line. I really resonate with their community, because they've built a successful community since the 70s, and they're living in cohabitation, and they're living authentically, and being able to build community through the artifacts is what I really think we're doing, because this is allowing us to connect with people all over the world. And so this, I thought I was working on an AI project with my husband, which I'm still doing. I thought that was going to be how we were building community, and we'd be able, but I found that it's actually through these artifacts. These artifacts are bringing the most divine, beautiful souls together with the interest of raising consciousness through them. And we're collecting people from the indigenous, from the technology, from the spiritual, from the science. We're all converging together. It's really incredible to have that convergence through them. They're bringing us together.
I love that. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm in a number of different online communities, masterminds, and I've drawn the greatest, closest friends out of that. I've had numerous new collaborations, and yet that's one side of community, one side of collaboration. Connecting with people around the world with something that you feel the same about. It's something that connects us. And it's universal. Everything about it is beautiful. I've loved this.
Well, it's been, and I get to connect with people like you. It just keeps holding, and everybody's been just such an incredible soul, and everybody's on the same mission in one way or the other, right? That's the cool thing about it. We're all on the same mission. We all want the same. We just have, and I believe all the pieces have been on the chessboard this whole time. By the way, I do have a chessboard here. The original chessboard came from the ETs, just so you guys know, but all the pieces are on the board. We're all here on the board. We just got to move each other around and get in the right place. We can change the world like that. It's easy to change paradigms when you unite and remember who you are.
Yeah.
The problem is people don't have an example of what could be. We don't see it in television. We don't see it in our own life. We don't see it in our marriages. We don't see it in our relationships. So we don't have a vision of peace, of a way to actually build community and be in unison, because we're not shown it. So we are going to show that example. We're going to build community through the foundation, through the communities we work with, and continue to expand out.
It is a beautiful vision. It's an honor to be a part of this. It's an honor to have this conversation. Who knows how long it will last and how far it will go, but I think that's the beauty of the unknown, is we're just putting it out there to the world and letting the universe carry it wherever it needs to go. And so if you're hearing this, if you see this, I hope you reach out to her. And if you're called, definitely make sure that you step up and connect with her. There's a reason you didn't end up here by accident. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been such an honor. And we will see you all again soon on the One Podcast.
Here.
Holy moly.
Looks like the beginning of an era that is much bigger, that is much bigger, that is much bigger.
Ok, simple una pregunta. No sabemos qué significa. Si ha venido gente y nos ha dado traducción de esto. O sea, nos ha dicho cómo se pronuncia cada símbolo y se lee de derecha a izquierda. ¿Okay? Y dicen que que los símbolos son parte de lo que es el pro-sánscrito, que es la lengua madre de todas las civilizaciones. Ahora, lo interesante es que así como se lee, según los que han venido, en la realidad la esfera así es como gira, de derecha a izquierda, gira así, en contra de las emanaciones del reloj. Todas.
Here.
Like this.
Holy moly. Wow. Sorry, that was new for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's pretty amazing because this looks like the beginning of an era that is much bigger, like a net of a kind of labyrinth of tunnels with probably many more artifacts that is probably gonna be based on many different levels. So this is really just the beginning. So very exciting.
I'm usually a skeptic. It's really hard to be skeptical about this now, truthfully. I mean, I have come in purposefully being a skeptic because I think it's a kind of a healthy way to approach this. It's getting really hard to be that now. here, including these pieces here.
Do you see this being?
No,
This is an eye being, like has the head of an eye. So what Topi is telling me that they are arriving in the Ark with Anubis and, like the Sumerian endowment and so forth. One of the most famous beings, like he sacrificed himself, he would be the Osiris-like, and then from his body a tree emerged, and that tree is the one that gives the seeds of life for humanity.